Shalom, Yasharal, Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory to our power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rachak, Wadash, double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, whomever you may be, and wherever you may be. Shalom, Yasharal, Shalom. All right, we're getting into Exodus chapter 36, one of those repeat chapters. So it's short and straightforward. So let's go and read. It says, the tabernacle underwritten. Exodus 36:1. Then wrought Bezalel and Aholiab and every wise-hearted man, in whom the Lord Yahweh put wisdom and understanding to know how to work all manner of work for the service of the sanctuary, according to all that Yahweh had commanded. And Moses called Bezalel and Aholiab and every wise-hearted man, in whose heart Yahweh had put wisdom, even every one whose heart stirred him up to come unto the work to do it. And notice to point that out. I know I was kind of had to forgive me mumble mouthing, but let me read it again. It says, and Moses called Bezalel and Aholiab and every wise-hearted man, in whose heart, meaning their mind, Yahweh had put wisdom. Okay, that's what we mentioned. All right, Yahweh had put wisdom in. The Spirit came upon them from the Lord. All right, to give them the wisdom and knowledge and understanding of these certain, works and things of that nature. Right. So it says here, it says, and even everyone whose heart, their mind, right, stirred him up to come unto the work to do it. And let's just grab it real quick in case there's someone new, never ever seen this word. The word is lab in Hebrew, and say inner man, mind, will, heart, understanding. So when you read heart in the scriptures, almost probably 98% of the time when you read the word heart, it's probably talking about your mind, not your blood pump in your chest. All right. Because sometimes, just the heart in general is mentioned. All right. But majority of the times that the word the word heart is mentioned, it's actually going back to the Hebrew word lab, which means mind. All right. So keep that in, no pun intended, keep that in mind. So verse 3 says, and they received of Moses all the offering which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the sanctuary. Now, if you missed the last session there were certain things that were told to be given: gold, silver, scarlet, badger skin dyed red, so on and so forth. All right, so oil. Okay, so certain things were said if to the children of Israel. All right, if your heart be willing, to give, right, the free will offering, right, if you be willing to give, there's certain things that we need. And that was a particular thing because these were the things that were used for the construction of the temple, which is why, as I mentioned in the last session, all right, it was not exactly as I'm about to say it now, but in general sense, my belief is that I believe everybody in some kind of way pitched in. Whoever could help, I believe they all pitched in, all right, because you're talking about, the construction of all the things that were needed, that were commanded of the Lord by the way of Moses. So it says, and they received of Moses all the offering which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the sanctuary, to make it withal. And they brought yet unto him free offerings every morning. All right. So constant, because there was a lot of things that were needed. So, some of these things would take time. Like, for instance, the perfect example, the badger skins dye red. It's going to take time that, for that man to go out, find that badger, catch that badger, skin it out and do whatever, it was necessary. Wash it up, hang it up, dry it up, dye it up, dry it up again, So these things were constantly pouring in, because when you go back to the construction of the tabernacle, those badger skins were used, we'll just say roof for lack of better words. All right. But it was that covering over the top of the tent. Okay. And so it says, and all the wise men that wrought all the work of the sanctuary came every man from his work which they made. And they spake unto Moses, saying, the people bring much more than enough. You see, look, the people bring much more than enough. All right. Of the work which Yahweh commanded to make. So the Spirit of the Lord, once again, go back to my belief. I mean, because it's not like no one's, just totally off. I'm just saying my personal belief is that everybody pitched in. And furthermore, as you see here, from all the pitching in, there was more than enough for what was needed, that was commanded. All the previous chapters that we read through of the construction of this, how you're supposed to do this. It's supposed to be this measurement, that measurement. This is supposed to be beaten work of gold. This is acacia laid over with gold, and so on and so forth. All these different things. That's where they come in. These items that we just read about, these items come in from all the previous chapters that we read about before. All right. So you kind of just have to put yourself in a timeline, knowing that some of the chapters are laid out the way they're supposed to be laid out. We're definitely not saying that they're in the wrong place or something. They're laid out exactly how they're supposed to be laid out. But what I'm saying is some of the things that the way it's laid out, you have to understand it's a timeline given. So some things are mentioned before, some things are mentioned after. So you just kind of have to mentally, kind of envision the whole timeline of all the events and how they play out. All right. So it says, and they spake unto Moses, saying, the people bring much more than enough for the service of the work which Yahweh commanded to make. And Moses gave commandment, and they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the camp, saying, let neither man nor woman make any more work for the offering of the sanctuary. So the people were restrained from bringing. For look, and that's beautiful, man. We have so much that we have more than enough, and not only do we have so much more than enough that you guys got to chill out. Stop bringing stuff, okay? So people were restrained from bringing, for the stuff they had was sufficient for all the work to make it, and too much. You see? Construction proceeds. So it says, and every wise-hearted man among them that wrought the work of the tabernacle made 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, with cherubims of cunning work made he them. The length of one curtain was 28 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits. The curtains were all of one size. And we go to the NLT, we can probably get these measurements. The AMP as well. What verse was that? Let me see here. Okay, verse 9. So it says, all 10 curtains were exactly the same size, 42 feet long and 6 feet wide. 5 of these curtains were joined together to make one long curtain, and the other, excuse me, and the other 5 were joined to make a second long curtain. And once again, these are things that were repeated already. That are being repeated now from previous chapters that we read already. He made 50 loops of blue yarn and put them along the edge of the last curtain in each set. The 50 loops along the edge of one curtain matched the 50 loops along the edge of the other curtain. Then he made 50 gold clasps and fastened the long curtains together with clasps. In this way, the tabernacle was made of one continuous piece. All right, so joining those curtains together, he made 11 curtains of goat hair cloth to serve as a tent covering for the tabernacle. These 11 curtains were all exactly the same size, 45 feet long and 6 feet wide. And then I'm thinking about it. If I can, I'll see if I can find some some of those animation videos. Try to give some of us a visual there. It says Bezalel joined 5 of these curtains together to make one long curtain, and the other 6 were joined to make a second long curtain. He made 50 loops for the edge of a large curtain. He also made 50 bronze clasps to fasten the long curtains together. In this way, the tent covering was made of one continuous piece. He completed the tent covering with a layer of tanned ram skins and a layer of fine goat skin leather. Now remember, this was dyed red, right? So it says, as a matter of fact, let's see what comes up. Let's just see what comes up. Tanned ram skins. All right. So yeah, mentioning I think it might have been in the last session, like, our men had different understanding of different works. And this is basically the work of a tanner. All right. Oh, let's go to images. Man, could you imagine? That just looks beautiful. Could you just imagine, man? How the tabernacle, man, you better stop playing. Now this is just as I think it's a rendition, I think you call it, of what it possibly would have looked like. But it really takes the words out of my mouth. Could you really truly imagine what we had when we were out there in the wilderness? All right, to look upon and know that the Lord was with us, man. Man, goodness, man. Let me look at those. Bear with me. It's just, it's nice, man. Just look at it. You just can't imagine, man. Well, I guess you can't imagine, but I think you get my point. All right. Just beautiful, man. And it said they were dyed red. So it's not getting too much more. It's starting to go into some weird stuff here. So let's go back. But yeah, you have to be and perfect example though. Speaking about being a tanner, like the northern tribes, man. What do you think they were doing? All right, they had very good, skilled wisdom, like in hunting and things of that nature. And they knew certain animals, their fur or whatnot would pretty much somewhat be waterproof. So what would you do? You would kill the animal, you skin it, you take it through the process, get all the fat and the what is it called? I forget, doggone word for it. But you get all the you scrape it out and go take it through a process. And then what you have is a raincoat, all right? Which really not just for rain, is raincoat, a coat that's good for weather, because the animals, is their protective, covering, right? And so it works for them as well, all right? For the this person, where you would now have a coat, all right, that will be weatherproof, so you can keep warm. But it also in rain, the rain will roll off of it. Hey, our people were very skilled in a lot of things, man. All right. So it says, he completed the tent covering with a layer of tanned ram skin and a layer of fine goat skin leather. For the framework of the tabernacle, Bezalel constructed frames of acacia wood. Each frame was 15 feet high and 27 inches wide, with 2 pegs under each frame. All the frames were identical. He made 20 of these frames to support the curtains on the south side of the tabernacle. He also made 40 silver bases, 2 bases under each frame, with the pegs fitting securely into the to the bases. For the north side of the tabernacle, he made another 20 frames, with their 40 silver bases, 2 bases under each frame. He made 6 frames for the rear, the west side of the tabernacle. All right. So yeah, and that goes to show you that the front of the tabernacle will be facing east. It says he made 6 frames for the rear, the west side of the tabernacle. All right. So what will be opposite of west? It will be the east, just like north and south are opposite one another. So the entrance, all right, would be on the east end. And the entrance will also be facing the east. It says, along with 2 additional frames to reinforce the rear corners of the tabernacle. These corner frames were matched at the bottom and firmly attached at the top with a single ring, forming a single corner unit. Both of these corner units were made the same way. So there were 8 frames at the rear of the tabernacle, set in 16 silver bases, 2 bases under each frame. Then he made crossbars of acacia wood to link the frames, 5 crossbars for the north side of the tabernacle and 5 for the south side. He also made 5 crossbars for the rear of the tabernacle, which faced west. He made the middle crossbar to attach halfway up the frames. It ran all the way from one end of the tabernacle to the other. He overlaid the frames with gold and made gold rings to hold the crossbars. Then he overlaid the crossbars with gold as well. For the inside of the tabernacle, Bezalel made a special curtain. And men, just the outside is one thing, but the inside, man, come on, man. You got gold and stuff all over, right? Says, for the inside of the tabernacle, Bezalel made a special curtain of finely woven linen. He decorated it with blue, purple, and scarlet thread, and with skillfully embroidered cherubim. And just to throw a quick fun fact here, when you're dealing with Yahushua, and it mentions how the temple of the curtain was rent. Is that Matthew 26 or 7? I can't remember exactly which chapter it was in Matthew. Let me see here. But the temple was rent. Okay, so probably 27. Let's see, just bear with me, see if we can actually find. It's around 27, 28, it's somewhere around here. Okay, yep, 27, like I thought. It says, at noon, darkness fell across the whole land until 3 o'clock. And at about 3 o'clock, Yahushua called out with a loud voice, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you abandoned me? Some of the bystanders misunderstood and thought he was calling for the prophet Elijah. As a matter of fact, let me just try to jump down because we can read all that. It's all good there. I want to get right here. So it says at verse 51 is the point I want it right here. At that moment, the curtain in the sanctuary of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook, rocks split apart, and tombs opened. The bodies of many godly men and women who had died were raised from the dead. So that when the curtain was rent, okay, that was because the point I'm making, in the ancient times, as we're talking about here, the construction of the tabernacle and things of that nature, the holy, area, and then behind, in a separate area in the back, all right, was the Holy of Holies behind that veil, okay? And no one went back there. The priest went into the Holy of Holies once every year, and that was for the Day of Atonement. All right. And so that will be, this whole system that was set up with the tabernacle and the Holy of Holies and everything. That was a dividing system, of communication between the Heavenly Father. Now, when Yahushua, hung his head and completed his mission, right? He destroyed that old way, all right, of, communication, all right? And the scriptures talk about the ministry of reconciliation. He's our propitiation, the bishop of our souls, these different things that are talked about, all right? So when that curtain was rent, once again, for guys that want to cut out Yahushua, or for those that want to believe in the Savior, but you want to call him by a false name, all right? You got to have the name right. You got to believe in Yahushua. So Yahushua became the mediator at that very moment. There is no temple service of, the high priest doing this, doing that, going to the Holy of Holies. All that was done away with. And it speaks on this in detail in the books of Hebrews. Yahushua became everything that we needed in order to seek the Lord's mercy and hope for, redemption and salvation. All right. He became the go-between. And that's why it says John 14:6. We often quote, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man come unto the Father but by me." And that was before he actually got crucified. You see? But he was already telling you then, all right, it's through me, through your faith in me. And it was solidified once he completed his mission on the cross. Just to make that, Snapple fact there. All right, little side note there. But let's keep going. So it says, yep, I think it's 35 where we're at. It says, for the inside of the tabernacle, Bezalel had made a special curtain of finely woven linen. He decorated with blue, purple, and scarlet thread, and with skillfully embroidered cherubim. For the curtain, he made 4 posts of acacia wood and 4 gold hooks. He overlaid the posts with gold and set them in 4 silver bases. Then he made another curtain for the entrance to the sacred tent. He made it of finely woven linen and embroidered it with exquisite designs using blue, purple, and scarlet thread. This curtain was hung on gold hooks attached to 5 posts. The posts with their decorated tops and hooks were overlaid with gold, and the 5 bases were cast from bronze. All right. So like I said, straightforward chapter there. Exodus 36, just basically a reread of things that we've read before in the earlier chapters. So Lord willing, you're edified. Next time, Yahshua, I'm going to say shalom.